The sky is falling. The sky is falling. I think most of us were familiar with Chicken Little and his exclamation of impending doom. Um, the actually it was the opposite for me. I went through a season where actually the heavens were as brass, and um, probably most of you are not familiar with that term, but in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 23, it says, "The heavens over you shall be as brass, and the earth under you will be like iron." This is a place of God's anger for disobedience. And I went through a season of that. So I was in love with the young lady. And she was very kind. She loved God with all of her heart. Um, and I had felt that God had spoken to my heart that she was going to be my wife one day. And I did a very, very, very foolish thing. And I challenged God because I felt that I was strong enough in my relationship with him to pass the Isaac test. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Isaac test, God had told Abraham, the father of the Israelites, to sacrifice his only begotten son. And I did a very foolish thing because I put myself in a position where the only way to be successful was to trust God. Now, I've shared with you that I came through quite a bit of abuse. And I only mention that in this particular video just because when people who are in a position of trust betray you, it's really hard to trust an invisible God. And I had put myself in a position, whether I had heard from God correctly concerning this young lady or not, there was only one valid path forward for me, and that was to trust God. At the same time, I had an opportunity to travel with a group called the Covenant Players. And I had to trust God for the money to do this. It was two places where I was trying to trust God. And trust doesn't come easy, I think, for the normal person, much less if people in positions of trust have hurt you and damaged you. I think that makes trusting God even that much harder. So, anyways, God had specifically told me not to go see this particular friend. And he had offered me a job. And as I tried to trust God for the lady and for the money to go and travel with this drama group, they went to glorify God through the performing arts, and I had the opportunity, but I had to trust God for the money. I ended up disobeying God, and I ended up going to my friends and working with him, and I ended up backslidden. And for the whole year and a half that I was supposed to be with the covenant players, I was with this individual living with him in a backslidden state. And the heavens were as brass. It was like I would pray and nothing was going through. There was no stirring of the spirit. There was no movement in the heavenlies. There was nothing. The heavens were as brass above me, and the earth below my feet were iron. But then one day, things changed. I was hitchhiking home. Um, and I was going through a little place called Herkimer, New York. And this pastor happened to pick me up. His name was George Veach. And we got to talking because I had noticed that he had a Bible sitting on the seat next to him. And I started talking to him about the things of God. It turns out I ended up going to his church. And then within a couple of years, I went to Elam Bible Institute. And the point that I'm trying to make here is not the disobedience, but I think it's fair to say that we've all been in places where we've been disobedient to the Lord. Mine was kind of a severe case. I don't know that there's a ton of people out there who have had that experience of the heavens were as bronze over you and the earth beneath you was like iron. Uh, and it's scary for me to share this much vulnerability with everybody. But I felt like God has been telling me that I'm supposed to share some of the stories. Um, so the gifts and the call of God, they are without repentance. Once God gives them to you, he doesn't take them back. And even if you go off road, just like with Pastor George Beach in Herkimer, New York, he's going to put you back on the road. He's not done. He's not done with you yet. So my call to you is if you find yourself in a position of trust to where you need to trust God, do whatever you need to do in order to make that happen. I do not give this experience an A plus. Wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but it's definitely helped change me. But the call is if God calls you and puts you in a position to trust him because he's much more trustworthy than you and I are. Have a great day. Blessings to you. Bye.